guys ready to go?
Yep.
Go for it.
Today is May 27th, 2010. We are interviewing Franklin Kingston, who is born on December 22nd, 1925. And we are here with Alex Sullivan, Julia Galaway, and Jackson Deremiah, and Robert and Hester Kingston. We are working with the Monticello High School AP US History class. So, Franklin, what war and branch of service were you in?
You'll have to repeat that.
Okay.
Louder.
What war and branch of service were you in?
Oh, World War II. I was just in the Army.
Okay. And what was your rank?
I was a staff sergeant when I come out of it.
Okay. And where did you serve?
I went from here. I went to well, I'll tell you, after my basic in Kentucky, in Texas, I had 16 weeks of basic instead of 19 weeks. And then my brother Corwin was home at the time, and he went back to Fort Sill, Oklahoma, or Fort Sill. No, he went back to no, I can't say it. Anyway, huh?
Camp McCoy?
No, it's at right outside of Washington, D.C. Anyway, yeah, my brother was shipped there right ahead of when I went, and so we had a conversation there, and then when I got there, he was in charge of the group that was sending them on, you know. So I lucked out again, and he got me a pass into Washington, D.C. for one night, and we just lucked out on that to see all that dark part of it, because there wasn't many lights at that time. So that's about it, I guess, on that.
Okay.
And then I went over to Liverpool, England. From there I went across the channel to France, and now you can start again.
Where did you grow up? Or where did you grow up? What town?
From there, you mean?
Oh, no. Where did you grow up, like, as a kid?
Oh, Platte County Schools through the 8th grade, and then I went to high school in Weldon, Nixon Township.
Okay. Were older family members in previous wars or the same war that you were in?
I'm not catching you.
Oh. Were older family members in the military as well?
My brother, one brother, older brother, he come across right after the war ended. Of course, I didn't go across till March. See, March of 45, and so I didn't spend any time fighting while I was there, but I had several experiences while I was there, so I guess that's all necessary.
Okay. Well, were you drafted or enlisted?
I was drafted, yeah.
Okay. And what age were you?
Of what?
How old were you when you were drafted?
Must have been, I was 18 yet.
Very young. How did that affect your family life?
Well, I don't know. I'm sure it affected my mother and father both, because they had never been in service, either one of them, and so I'm sure that it affected my mother, because in 1940 she decided to have another baby. So she had another boy, so she had a boy at home while we was gone.
Well, how did you view the war, or the military before World War II?
How did I do?
How did you view the military before you were in the war?
I don't know. It didn't bother me, I guess. I was around a little of it, but I worked on the farm for 1 year, or almost a year, not quite a year, and I quit this farmer, and he didn't take very long to put me in the service.
So, where were you stationed first?
I was stationed in France, across from the Cologne pocket, which was a major German holdout for a while, and we right from there we just sat across there. I don't know what they thought they wanted us over to Cologne or what, because we just sat there for 3 weeks and practically did anything, nothing, you know. And the next thing we knew, they had a boxcar train coming down along where we was at, and they put us on the boxcar train, and we rode the boxcar train for a whole 100 or so miles, and we didn't have much to eat at that time. They just, once in a while they'd bring us some sea rations, but that's all there was.
So what was it like when you were riding the train?
Well, it was something different, because I don't think I'd ever rode a boxcar train. And we had a group of fellas in one of the boxcars that it was a little bit chilly, so they decided to build a fire inside that boxcar. And about half them old boxcars wood, you know, inside. So they got it on fire, had to stop the train to get the fire out. So those are expenses you run into sometimes.
So where did they take you on the train? Where did you end up?
Took us up into Belgium, which is where the Rhine River goes up through there, and that is where the main bridge across the Rhine that the Germans didn't knock out. So we rode the boxcar up there, and then I don't know, we drove trucks then. We got on trucks then. But I don't think that train going around that bridge. Probably wasn't equipped for it.
What was your rank when you entered the war?
When I got out,
Well, when you went in to the war.
well, I was in the First Army, but wasn't assigned to a unit at that time. I was in the First Army, and that was just inside of Germany a lot of ways, you know. Of course, the clone or the what the German. Well, they had just fought that war. I mean that one in the forest. You know, what was the name of that? What was the name of that? I can't think of it right now. Where the Germans made that big offensive, coming back and trying to run us out, and they tell the story about the one general or whoever it was. They wanted to know if they wanted to give up, and they said, "Hell no, we're not going to give up here." So they stayed there, and they got some more units in and knocked the revolution back out. I can't think of the name of it though.
I can't think of it either.
Battle of the Bulge. Battle of the Bulge. That's what it was. It wasn't very long before that happened. It was in January, December and January, I think it was. Yeah. So it wasn't very long before that. But I was very fortunate to be where I was at the time. I went into Russian territory to start with. I joined a USO group in that Russian area, and we had quite a beautiful theater there, and they had girls available and all that stuff, and so it was quite interesting. I sang in a quartet alone. That's the only one I remember singing.
Did you make long-lasting friends while you were in the service?
I don't understand you.
Did you make long-lasting friends while you were in the service?
Still didn't understand what you said.
While you were in the service, did you make very long-lasting friends? Like,
No, I'm still lost.
When you were in the service, did you make friends that were your friends for the rest of your life?
Oh, I guess a little bit, not too much. Had 2 or 3 staff sergeants in the company I was in that I kept up with till the last year they was gone. I went to Bendy, Illinois one time to see a fella, and he went to he was a truck driver. He come through Weldon once in a while. The last time I went to see him was I was down in Florida and I come back by up there, and he had just passed away the summer before. So that was one of them contacts that I remember too much. I met my brother over after I got to Augsburg, which is about 20 kilometers, 25 kilometers north of Munich. And he was at Dachau. My brother was at Dachau, and he was just stationed there. And the German music men played music for him while they had their dinner. So he come across and we visited 3 or 4 times, and then in Christmas of '45 we got together on Christmas Day. So it was pretty fortunate that way.
So what was it like in Christmas in 1945?
What was Christmas like?
Yeah.
I don't. It was just another day, I guess.
You didn't do anything special?
I don't think we did. We didn't do anything special. We got together, my brother and I, but there was nothing special otherwise. Wasn't much to do, so they had a few things you could go to, but shows and stuff. I went to Paris while I was over there, and I went to southern Germany, which at that time was a town. I can't think of the name. Anyway, down in the Alps, this was Hitler had a hideout up in the Alps, and we went up there one weekend to see that, and from that place you could see 7 countries up in the Alps, and so it's just something you do, I guess. Something you'd never do again. Yeah. I'd see. I went to Dachau after they had buried the rest of those people, and but I never saw. I saw the cremation, but they wasn't very long getting them cleaned out. Because when they first got there, though, the people were laying everywhere, half live and half dead, Must have been really something to see. There was a guy from D-Land who's blind, and he died here a year ago. He had pictures of that. Can you imagine? He sent them pictures home. That they never got home, though. They were in the Life magazine. Somebody stole them and put them in the Life magazine. So that's another incident. Things happen,
So while you were in the service, what was the food like?
Oh, I guess it wasn't too bad most of the time, I guess. The only thing that I never cared much about was mutton. Long as you chew mutton, the tougher it gets. Try to get to eat it, you know. Did you ever eat any mutton? No. I didn't think so. Don't try it, it's not too good.
So what were your main jobs during the war?
Huh?
What were your main jobs during the war?
Well, I carried a rifle most of the time, but then when I got over in Germany, I got into a truck outfit, and they let me drive the trucks and someone. Of course, they didn't last very long. They needed a person that could type. They said, we need a typist. I couldn't type only about 40 words a minute, you know. But I did get by that way, and that's how I got to be a staff sergeant. It wasn't because I knew much, but I knew some typing.
So how did your time in the service change your view on society?
Oh, I don't know. It changes it a little because you come back home and all them people married are gone. One or two. Gal I went with in high school, I come home, she was married. She already had another man married, you know. That's why you change your views of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's good, I guess. You get to see the rest of the world that way. You know what's happening.
Well, do any of you have any more questions? How did you communicate with family back home while you were in service?
Well, we had free mailing privileges, so we get to send a card anytime we wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I guess I wrote too many letters.
Did you send any pictures to your family, or?
Yeah, I get some pictures. I've got some pictures back in the room there, where I was over in the barracks area, what we call the barracks area. It was pretty nice, pretty nice place. It was made for families, you know. So the Army took it over, and we lived in that area for quite a while that way. That was right at there at Augsburg when we was there.
If you were to go back in time when you were young again, would you do it again?
I suppose. I suppose I would. Everybody has a feeling about protecting the people of the United States, I guess. Or most people do. Don't seem to be that way today, but a lot of people don't want to be committed to anything. Thank you anyway, that way. Anything else?
How do you think that Americans' view has changed on war since World War II?
Well, we can see a lot of change after the Taliban got over there, and then we decided that we had to fight a war over like Iraqis, and so it makes quite a little change in your thinking that why should we fight everybody's war but ours?
So, how did you feel when the atomic bombs were dropped?
Well, you know, I didn't think much about them until afterwards, of course. But I could see what the best thing there was to do with it. It shortened the war up so much. Stopped a lot of people getting killed, even though they killed a bunch of them in Japan, but in those two cities, but saved a lot of soldiers' lives on both sides, I guess, which would make it good.
What kind of rifle did you carry back in Germany?
Rifles? We carried an M1, five or seven shells, 5 shells. It was in a clip.
Was it an M1 Garand?
Huh?
An M1 Garand?
We didn't call them that at that time. I said we called them. I guess they were the M1s. Yeah, I guess what it was. And if otherwise, it was carbines. They had a lot of carbines later in the war.
How intense was the fighting? If you ever saw any fighting, how intense was it?
It must have been quite intense in that part what I was talking about earlier. Now I can't say it.
Was it the Battle of the Bulge?
Yeah, Battle of the Bulge. You know, if you ever saw any of them pictures, you know, they really look real. And to a lot of extent it was real, because even though it wasn't taken as at that time, why those General Patton, he was across from the Third Army when they was at that one Clone Pocket, and he went from there with his tanks and stuff, and went clear up to edge of Belgium to fight off that counteract, you know. So it was quite a extended thing.
Did you celebrate any birthdays in Europe?
Yeah, celebrate one. My 19th, I guess. And,
what was that like?
What was that like? It's kind of like Christmas. It's just another day. You don't think much about it. Only you know you had a birthday, but
did anyone ever send you anything?
Yeah, my mother sent me a lot of cookies. I think that's about all I got. Cookies and stuff like that. Breads and such.
Well, is there anything else you would like to add? I don't think we have any more questions.
Well, I don't think of anything else. I come back to Chicago, Illinois to be relieved of my service command, and so that's the end of that story right there.
So after you came back, what did you do?
I went back to farming a little, helped my dad farm, and I went over and helped a neighbor farm, because it was October, I guess, when I come back, and they were still chucking corn in the fields, at that time. I think that's the year that my dad said he went to Avery Shear's house to shuck corn on Christmas Day, and he said Avery Shear said to him, "If I break down, I will never fix it today." But they shucked all day and never did break down. And it was cold. I know it was. It had to be 5-10 below to zero. I don't know how they even kept the tractors from freezing up. But they did. I thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well, we thank you very much.
Yeah, well, I hope I helped you out a little.
Yeah.
Maybe you can get something good out of this.
Oh, I'm sure we will.